Well, as with any moronic ADIQ liberal false narrative spreading, all one must do is wait simply a couple days to a couple weeks at most typically, and you will see time reveals all liberal lies, including the liberal, disgusting lie that the Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson was a diehard Maga fan. Yes, that was an actual liberal false narrative, media spun lie spreading all across social media the last couple of days as they desperately try to pin it all on the party that was the actual victim of all of this violence. But no more. The text messages between Tyler Robinson, the shooter, and his transgender boyfriend have now been released, and the texts that these two exchange are quite revealing.
Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson.
I just want to emphasize real fast, one of the first lies right away was that Tyler Robinson was not involved with this transgender man in any romantic or sexual way, purely just roommates at college, and not even for that long. Certainly not long enough for him to have been radicalized by the left. We're finding out that's a lie.
About the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange, then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you."
Yeah, that doesn't sound like any sort of red-blooded, patriotic, conservative man talking that I know of. I certainly have never actually referred to anybody, for that matter, as my love, let alone another man. But here's Tyler Robinson doing that over text messages. And why is that? Well, it turns out the more information we've accumulated over time, the more we understand that despite the fact Tyler Robinson grew up in a conservative Maga family, with his father being a former sheriff's department officer, he's been radicalized by our institutionalized education system, and certainly in the Discord Antifa servers he likely was a part of, as well as most likely by his transgender roommate. Surprise, surprise. All of the warnings that the Conservative Party have been dishing out for years now about how corrupt and disgusting and polluted our education system has become from liberal ideology is now showing itself right now in this circumstance.
Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Roommate, I thought they caught the person. Robinson, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence.
Some hate can't be negotiated with. Once again, I've never, ever heard a conservative talk about Charlie Kirk, of all people, like this. In fact, I've only ever heard conservatives talk rather nicely about Charlie Kirk, and even his detractors, like this Nick Fuentes guy who I've had the chance to look into now because of liberals, thankfully. And actually, I kind of like the guy, I'm going to be honest. Nick Fuentes was very critical of Charlie Kirk. These two had beef. However, I've never heard Nick Fuentes say that Charlie Kirk was full of hatred. Nick Fuentes has beef with Kirk over perhaps his stance on Israel and over perhaps his stance on politics in general because, truthfully, many people considered Kirk a little bit too moderate, if anything. And of course the liberals tried to spin that again, saying that that is why Tyler Robinson shot him was because he was a far-left Groyper, Nick Fuentes follower, who just didn't think Charlie Kirk was far-right enough. But here he is on the text threads now saying that he was just full of hate. This is the actual evidence we've been waiting for, and I take a little bit of solace, at least, in the fact that these scumbag liberals all over social media spreading these lies are now having that shoved right back in their face, as they deserve.
Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson again, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke, all right. I'm going to have to leave it.
Liberal lie number whatever, I've lost count at this point, now being shattered as well. The bullet engravings, because when all of this news was first breaking, I was breaking it, for instance, all over X and on Threads, especially Threads, which is full of liberals. They kept telling me that these bullet engravings were false. It was fake news, and that this governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, made it up and talked prematurely about it, and how the ATF debunked it already, and Steven Crowder's a moron for somehow thinking he got his hands on classified info. Well, it turns out Steven Crowder did manage to get his hands on classified ATF info and released it properly. These bullets were engraved with the message: anti-fascism, liberal Antifa. They were engraved with liberal subculture and transgender subculture like furries. Notice the bulge. Also, Catch This Fascist, a video game reference. And, of course, the Antifa adopted Italian song Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao Ciao. That is a song that was sung in Italy many years ago when they were revolting against Nazis and fascism. Antifa's adopted that. And Antifa is absolutely a liberal subgroup, not a conservative one.
That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K dollar scope. Wink, wink. Robinson again, delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN, not answering. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA.
Another liberal narrative absolutely shattered with that statement as well. You see, I also have a father who is pretty diehard MAGA, but I say that in a pretty good way, not in a bad way. The way he's saying here, just a little bit of context, just a little bit of reading in with some comprehension there. He's not saying my dad is diehard MAGA as if he's celebrating it. He's saying it in a derogatory fashion. Why? Because Despite his family being full of conservatives and MAGA Republicans and Trump supporters, he's the black sheep of the family. This is why he ran off with a transgender boyfriend in college, why he was very likely part of the same Antifa Discord servers that Thomas Matthew Crooks, the Butler PA assassin who tried to kill Trump, was part of, and also why he engraved all those things on the bullets, and therefore that's why he is talking about his father that way. Pretty diehard MAGA. Not a good thing, and shines light on the fact that, again, the liberal media narrative of this guy being a far right-leaning radical extremist who shot one of his own, Charlie Kirk essentially, is completely false at this point. Completely. The lie has been shattered. Everything's been nuked when it comes to their narrative as usual, and all it took was literally less than 2 weeks. It's typical. And unfortunately, they've already done a good job of convincing 24% of America that Tyler Robinson was a MAGA Republican. On a u.gov website, I can pull that up some other time in a future video, 24% are convinced he's a MAGA Republican, while only 21% are convinced he's a liberal Democrat. 40% or more remain unsure, though hopefully many of them will see either this video, this Fox News segment, or any other video exposing this, because the truth needs to be put out there. And what I want to say to you all is, in light of that, subscribe right now to American Advocates for more content like this, where I absolutely annihilate the liberal narrative as usual. This is where you can find the truth, right here on channels like this and on any other conservative channel. Please, in light of the death of Charlie Kirk, the vacuum needs to be filled, and I am not going to be the one to be able to do that by any means, but in combination of a group effort with so many other conservative creators out there on YouTube, we can rise up together. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to any other conservative YouTuber. Give them some watch time. Give them the likes, the comments, subscribe, all of that. We need to support each other now more than ever. And if you're a Democrat who somehow made it this far into the video and can stomach all of this evidence being used against you, and despite all of that, you think Tyler Robinson is still a MAGA Republican, please leave a comment down below stating as such, so I can laugh at your sheer stupidity and so that other people can laugh at it too. On top of that, after you leave that comment, please be sure to dislike this video, do not subscribe, and never come back. Finally, I want to show you all this. In light of these text messages being released now and all of liberal mainstream media realizing they must severely backpedal on this false narrative of Tyler Robinson being a MAGA Republican shooter, they are now trying to humanize him, where you have this guy, I believe his name was Matt Gutman, ABC special news reporter, talking about how touching the text message exchange between Tyler Robinson and his trans boyfriend Lance Twiggs was. Take a listen to this and get a barf bag ready while you do.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting and, as Pierre said, riveting press conference, David.
So touching. Thanks for your amazing reporting, ABC, as you now humanize the man who killed a prominent right-wing conservative speaker. If the shoe was on the other foot, and this was, say, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who had, let's say, just been publicly executed by a true right-wing conservative extremist, which I'm not advocating ever happens, mind you, would they romanticize any of the private conversations of that hypothetical shooter? I doubt it. Here's what they are now doing. It's all been revealed to us. First and foremost, they dehumanize us by using derogatory terms against our party like racist, homophobic, fascist, bigot, misogynists, all of that jazz. This then encourages many on their side who are extremely susceptible to extreme propaganda to go out and actually carry out these executions against conservatives. When this finally happens, like we just saw with Charlie Kirk, they then celebrate this globally, publicly. Now, of course, the media is not doing this, or their politicians. They're, of course, playing it down and condemning the actions publicly, all while they continue to dehumanize us with the terms bigot and fascist, etc. But their liberal followers I mean, the Libs of TikTok page exposed this. They're all over the place celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And after they're done celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, mind you, now we see the final phase of their plan where they then have the gall to make up a bullshit story like how Tyler Robinson was a far right-leaning Groyper extremist, Nick Fuentes follower, and then imply that it's not a civil war, it's just the right-wing conservative violent people all engaging in civil war. The right is so ununified, they're killing their own. Look at how disgusting they are. That's now what they do. So they encourage the dehumanization of us, which leads to the death of us. They then celebrate that death, and then they falsely blame us for the death, accusing us of killing each other when it couldn't be further from the truth. And finally, mind you, they then have the nerve to say, let's tone it down. Let's calm down, everyone, okay? I don't think so. We ultimately reject any unity with the Liberal Party going forward in the future. There is no unity with these demons out here living in America. They are the true enemy from within. I cannot wait for more information on this to be revealed. Like I said, I'll be covering all of that as soon as it comes out right here on American Advocates. Thanks for watching.